And now, the Business Experience Show.
Welcome to the Business Experience Show. I'm Lisa Caprelli. Also joining us in the think tank by telephone is Bardia Garamani, the COO of International Sports Agency. He has a law degree and is a sports player representative. He represents athletes in the NFL, MMA, NASCAR, and hockey. Hello, Bardia. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be on the show.
Yeah, we're excited to have in studio today professional heavyweight boxer David and Nino Rodriguez.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, David.
How are you?
Good, buddy. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So over the last 14 years, David has amassed an astounding record of 36-0. That includes 34 knockouts and 24 first-round knockouts. Just over a year ago, he defeated former contender Owen Beck with a third-round knockout, adding luster to his remarkable rise. Since then, he's been sidelined with back-to-back injuries. First was a brutal assault in which assailants surprisingly lacerated his face from ear to chin. An injury that nearly killed him. That's not funny. But you look really good, David.
Oh, thank you.
I know you're making a complete...
I didn't know you were going to bring all that up.
All
right.
Yeah. You said let's have an open and honest interview.
We're talking about my injuries now. Right. Okay.
I know you have working right now on recovering. You have a knee injury. You were training for a July fight, right? That's been pushed.
No, yeah. I was getting ready for a big fight on pay-per-view. And basically, I just got done with this traumatic experience that I encountered that, I almost lost my life. And finally, when I get back to go into training, bam, I injure my knee. So it's just been 2 setbacks, but I'm resilient, and I come back through everything, and that's just the way I've been through my whole career. That's how fighters are, man. That's just the way we are. And I'm fine. My knee's healing. My face is completely healed. I'm not disfigured, and everything's perfect. I'm running on all cylinders. So I expect to be back in the ring by December or January in a very, very big fight.
That's awesome.
Under my own promotion, because I know this is the Business Experience Show.
Yeah,
so it is my own promotion.
No, that's a bang back-to-back incidences, and I think if I'm not mistaken, your knee had the microfracture done, correct?
Yes, and you know what? But I was lucky because it was on a non-weight-bearing surface. Because a lot of NBA players get it, and they have it on the weight-bearing surface.
We've had a lot of players deal with that. That's why I said that.
How do they come back in base? I mean, do most of them come back from that?
Most of them come back 100%.
Oh, thank you.
A lot of what we know about the fight game is what we've seen in Rocky movies. I mean, there's a lot that's behind the scenes that we don't know about. Your record is very impressive, and yet of our 30,000 plus listeners that we have, I'd bet fewer than 10% have ever heard of you, and that's not right.
No, it isn't right, and but it's the way it is. Boxing is really in the dark ages. Well, especially with the MMA rise and all that, it's really been put on the back burner. There hasn't been any great American heavyweights. The Europeans have taken the sport and moved it to Europe, and all the television there covers it. But it's not really covered in America anymore, and we're in need.
Well, and part of that is that you're a brand, you're your own business,
yes,
and an entire enterprise, and it's more than just being 36-0 with 34 knockouts. There are things that you can be doing to better promote yourself, and right now you're your own promoter. You can blame it on the past on other promoters.
Correct.
That may have been working with you.
Well, here's what I blame it on, and here really it is. Boxing is fighters are on the very bottom of the totem pole. You're not supposed to know what's going on at it's compartmentalized, really. As a fighter, you just know that you're going to go in the ring and fight, and that's all you should care about. And when I was a young kid turning 21, I signed my first contract. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't care about much else but going there and knocking people out and the scene afterwards. You know what I mean? So that's all I cared about. I was at that stage of my life.
That's right. You take care of that part of the business, right, and other people take care of the rest of it.
Correct. But see, boxing promoters are aging now. They're 80. 75, 80, 85. They're getting older now.
You're dealing with a lot of older, like Bob Arum and a lot of Don King. They're getting up there in age, and it's unfortunately it's kind of like the reason in my belief in the business side of boxing and MMA, the UFC came up and appealed to the young crowd. They
Correct.
Came in and they almost took what WWE is doing and turned it into a real fight. The way they promote them, the way they pump them, the way they market them, and they went ahead and took over where you as a fighter have to do it yourself now.
Right, and see, it's
MMA, UFC did it for them.
Right, and Dana White runs the show. So
exactly,
you got all these other
show.
In boxing, you got boxing is a worldwide sport, and it's run by so many different types of promoters, man. that are all trying to
so many
jockey.
different belts too.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
UFC is one belt. That's
right.
like the WBA.
Right.
So
and
you got all the other belts that don't see eye to eye, and one fighter has to go and try to unify. And now one fighter is getting promoted by one belt. It's really, and I think Kramer was saying that I've noticed in my years of managing Tito Ortiz, Tim Sylvia, Chuck Liddell, Gina Carano, all those years that I managed those fighters, you have to self-promote. The most incredible self-promoter I've ever ran across is Tito Ortiz.
Well, and we've heard all sorts of stories about horror stories about boxers and other athletes that have not been smart with their money, that have trusted unwisely other people. But what we're really concerned about today in talking about building your brand isn't what you do with all the money you make after you make it. It's how do you make the money, and part of that is being undefeated as a boxer is great, and that's a very important part. But how do you get the right people to notice you, to want you to be in a key fight? Well,
actually, a lot of the top fighters right now are taking an interest in me because I have the record. I'm an Mexican American fighter, and I have a city behind me. So in other words, when I go back to El Paso and I fight in El Paso, we sell it out.
Mm-hmm. David, you have a country behind you.
Yeah, well,
you have two countries. That's what I'm saying. You have two countries behind you, and yet, as I said before, our 30,000 plus listeners, very few have heard of you, and that's a shame.
Okay, everybody, David Nino Rodriguez. Remember that. David Nino Rodriguez, NinoBoxing.com. Look me up. I'm the next heavyweight champion in the world. All right, go ahead.
Yes,
if we have anything to do to help you with that, that's our goal too. We want to help you reach that.
David, on the phone with us is sports agent Bardia Garamani. Thank you for being on the phone with us. We have Cole Smith, Kramer, I'm Lisa Caprelli, and of course we here with David El Nino Rodriguez. And sometimes he just says Nino. He doesn't say the
I say the white version.
I know.
Nino.
I said, David, we have to say David El Nino Rodriguez. But okay, David Rodriguez. David, share with us why you got your promoter's license.
To carry more leverage. The promoters weren't, listen, there's all these backroom deals that are done.
What did you just say, Bardia?
I said because you probably wanted to be hated by everybody. Is a fighter. I give you a lot of credit for doing that, because when you do that, crossing over, you're putting a big old target on yourself where other promoters don't want to put you in.
But you had to get it.
Well, everyone says this is a game of pimps and hoes.
Right.
And it's like, now I'm like, no, I'm going to be, the hoe and the pimp. So it's like, I'm going to pimp myself out, man. You got to do that, because in boxing, it's dying so quickly. And these guys run a monopoly on everything. And I knew in my hometown, when I was fighting in Mexico, I had like 6 fights in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
I was promised a lot of money. I was promised certain sponsors. The promoters kept it all. Everything was done. My manager was keeping a certain amount of money. I knew something was wrong. I wasn't allowed into the meeting rooms when they were meeting, and I was like, I can't deal with this. This is not.
Again, like we talked about in the first Rocky movie, Rocky goes to this fight, and there's the headbutting, and at the end, he gets his cut is $12 or something.
Right. That's the truth. And I was sick of it. And I was like, I'm busting my butt, doing what I have to do, and training every day, and I'm the most explosive, exciting heavyweight out there right now, and I'm not getting what I want.
And you're all you've got, and you've got to take care of you on this. And on the business end, I mean, quite frankly, you will not be able to fight forever.
No,
there will come a time whenever that is.
And I'm going into the promotional field as well, and I have to start setting those things up.
Well, no, 10 years ago is when you needed to start setting those up.
Right, but I was just, like I told you, I was just a rambunctious kid, just didn't care. Now it's like, it wasn't until I was about 28 that it dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, there's something wrong here.
How did you find what an ethical team was?
There is no ethical team in boxing. It's like, that doesn't exist. I mean,
in sports.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, there is?
Well, and it's not just sports, it's entertainment also. And we hear the parade of horribles about musicians and artists that make nothing from their albums. They end up filing for bankruptcy because the promoters and everyone else made all the money.
Right. Well, yeah, that's boxing. I mean, everybody makes the money except the fighter, and the fighter never questions it. And, I've heard horror stories about these guys not getting their paycheck after a fight, or it's half the paycheck they were promised. And, the fighter doesn't do nothing. They're just, oh, man, just next time. I'm like, no, man, go get a lawyer and fight this. But what's that worth, though, really? Especially when these up-and-coming fighters are making only $3,000, $5,000 a fight, and then and that's what they're promised, and they get a check for $1,500. It's just like, it's just such a slap in the face.
Do you know what you're going to make in a fight before going in?
Yeah, you make beforehand, yeah.
Okay.
And after the 13 years I spent with my last management team, I'm not going to say any names, But
Good.
I really just I couldn't take anymore, and I finally got to the point where I was like, that's it, it's over. That was really too long.
Well, you talk about boxing with such disdain or unhappiness, but you also seem to you love boxing, right?
It's a love-hate relationship. It's like a marriage. I love boxing. It's just honestly, to me, it's the greatest sport. You know, I know a lot of people watching MMA right now, and I know I'm a boxer, but boxing's always going to be, to me, on a pedestal. I love boxing, and it's.
I think you wish you had a better experience with management along the way.
Yeah, but I'm not. You know, to me,
we got to take a break.
Okay.
We're here with David and Nino Rodriguez.